Martin Janowicki, and Jared Mayer.
Oh, you're good. Thank you.
Okay.
And their score was they started on number 15, their score was 48. If the team can come back to the front, the team can go back to the front one more time and steer away. They're going to get officially the two.
Francisco, venga acá, vamos a tomar una foto. Team 3, we need to take a picture, please.
The winning team, please come back to the front for a photo. And we would like to thank Republican Red Wine. They won a bottle of Drink the Swamp, Republican Red, Drink the Swamp. Big round of applause for our third place in that team. We scored 48 down on 13. Now I announce the second place in that team. With a score of 47, there was a scoreboard tiebreaker on this one, but they won the scoreboard tiebreaker. Their score was a 47 and down to 12A. First, Valerie Bailey. Please come from the room and be recognized. Linda Stock, please come up from the room. Laura McNamara and Gail Olsen. Now we're going to do some reports.
They won $150 for the Pro Shop and a bottle from Republican Red. All girls, women power!
Huh? No. They have gone.
And each of our players are also receiving their certificates for the workshop today as well. Okay, for first place, score 47. I'm sorry, I have a correction on this one. These are the winners of the tiebreaker this time, and I apologize for that this time. I'd like to bring up Wayne Webb, Mason Neal, and Matt Yametta. Wayne Webb, Mason Neal, and Matt Yametta. Please come in the front. This is our first place net team, first place net winners. They're receiving a $200 gift certificate each for the Pro Shop, and they are also receiving Republican Red Cabernet. And now the award for
That goes.
first place gross is now in hole 17. Their score was a 65. Kason Beatty, please come in front of the room. Carson Kawan, Michael Goddard, and Keaton Phillips, please come to the front of the room to be recognized. So we're going to do the awards first, and then we're going to Binhvo-Ngoctrang. So, the winners receive gift certificate for the first round of golf at the Trump International Golf Course, and Republican Red has donated one of its finest domestic wines. We are pleased to offer the enclosed gift certificate for one foursome of golf at our James Fosno Design Championship Golf Course. Emerald green rolling hills and a 58-foot waterfall. No other private golf club in Florida compares to the unique golf experience offered at Trump International. This certificate is valued at approximately $2,500, inclusive of golf cart fees and green fees. Congratulations to the winners of our first place net gross. Come to the
Lăn lên đi. Anh mồ hôi.
For that, they get to come play again. How cool is that?
Quá trời. Cái winner luôn, cái group winner này.
Hồi nãy bà Linda bà thắng góp phần được một flower đó.
Được cái gì? Được cái giải gì đây? Wow, win red. Rồi.
Tay vậy mà chạy.
And now what I would like to do is introduce our Broward County State Committee woman, Michelle Merrill, to say a few words to you all today here on stage. Please give her a big round of applause. She's our State Committee woman, Michelle Merrill. Could I please ask for everyone's attention? And please have everyone's attention, please, while Michelle Merrill, our State Committee woman of Broward, addresses the audience.
Thank you. It's hard to talk over a group of this size, so I do ask if we could attention up here. My name is Michelle Merrill. I am the elected state committee woman for Broward County. I've served 2 terms, and I am the county's representative to the state Republican Party in Florida. First, I want to thank everybody who volunteered here for the event today. Would all volunteers, please stand up. This is a compliment to put on. Thank you. These are our warriors and volunteers. But particularly, I'd also like to thank those of you who have donated money to be here to help us today. The money that was raised today goes directly to support our Get Out the Vote efforts and also to support our Republican candidates in Broward County. We keep chipping away at winning various seats in Broward County, and we've had a lot of momentum, and we are always working on increasing our voter registration numbers. And I'm going to ask everybody to lower the volume, because it's tough to talk up here with all of you talking. Okay? I also want to congratulate President Trump on his very Super Tuesday last week.
Yep.
A magnificent job winning all over the country. But there's no more business as usual for us. It's go time, and the help from everybody in this room is critical to our efforts. And I want to reflect back on 2016, and there was a man that we all knew. We knew his name, and he was telling us that we needed to make America great again. And we woke up when President Donald J. Trump came down the escalator and was elected in 2016. And suddenly, some very bad things were exposed in our country, things that we had no idea about. This has been the most debilitating part, to see watch the exposure of our government, of our institutions, our media, our politicians, and the degradation of our country, and the relentless attacks from the left on our president. But you can never count America as out, and I believe that our greatest days are still ahead of us here, and we have the ability to overcome this debilitating Biden administration. Americans have been built up since the very beginning, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War to World War I and II, our greatest generation in World War II, Pearl Harbor, Korea, Vietnam, 9/11, 2001, and the Gulf War. Every time America has been counted as down and out, we come roaring back, bigger, stronger, and better. The true genius of America is its ability to get back up, adapt, self-reflect, repair its faults, and continue growing, and be the leader of the free world. People around the world count on us as a role model for freedom. If we lose our country, there really is nowhere else to go. There's nowhere better than the United States. And I actually just got off an airplane at 2:30 this morning from Europe. I've been over there for the last couple of weeks. And there are a lot of serious problems happening over in Europe that are greatly concerning. But for the last 60 years, the left has worked very hard to change all that we know about America. And we really didn't realize it. We were just living our lives and going about our days. But this war that we are seeing waged in our country is for the soul of our country. And it's a war that we did not start, but it is a war that we have absolutely no choice about, but we need to finish it. This is a war that we did nothing to provoke, and we did not invite it, but it is a war that we must attend to. Freedom will live, or freedom will perish, right here in this next election cycle. In Florida, we understand this, and we're trying to stop this under the leadership of our Governor, Ron DeSantis, and our dedicated Republican cabinet, our lawmakers who are taking on the tough issues, and our senators and congressmen. Our senators and congressmen are the best in this country. There's no doubt in my mind about that. They are fighting hard for us every day in Washington, and it's very tough on them. We have our very dedicated Broward GOP volunteers as well, who are also doing their part to stop the insanity of the left. And we have a lot of insanity in Broward County. The pages of the history books have yet to be written, and they will reflect the actions that we are taking at this juncture, in this election of our lifetime. And we have to ask some questions of ourselves. Did we elect the right people with the fight still in them? People like Chris Petty, Darlene Squawker, Carl Spalding, Joe Caluska, and Jeffrey Galbraith. These people are all, I've known these people for years. They are fighters. We are all fighters in this room. There's many others in here too that have decided to run, and I think that because running is tough in Broward. It's very difficult. Did we fight for our American values in this election? Did we continue to let our children be brainwashed and victimized? Did we make every conceivable effort to secure and win our elections fairly and by the rule of law? Did we elect people that are going to secure our borders? Did we fight for the rights of all to worship God in the faith of their choosing? Or did we just sit back and not fight for America? That's the question I pose to you. These are the questions that we're going to be answering on the morning of November 6th after this election is over. The fight is not in the Republican Party. The fight is out there, and we have to take it to the Democrats. The grassroots leaders of this state are fighting every day in their counties. There are counties that are equally as tough as Broward. But we are very deep blue in Broward, and we have to work 10 times harder in our election cycle. And we cannot be complacent. We see every day our voter registration numbers are increasing in Florida, and we're putting a wall around Florida to stop this madness of the left. God put a protective veil over President Trump, but the evil and dark forces continue to relentlessly attack him, and we as the party need to protect him. So let the history books say that on November 5th, that Florida, and Broward County particularly, when faced with an unprecedented threat in this country against American liberty and freedom, that we stood with the passion, intensity, unity,
Yo! Woo!
I have interrupted this program just when you thought it couldn't get any better. We have a new promo just for you today. Swag bag with an American Patriot free pillow. You're gonna like it. I knew you would. Who hasn't heard one of these iconic phrases from Mike Lindell? Also known as My Pillow Guy. We love you, Mike. He is an American businessman, a political activist, and the founder of CEO of My Pillow, a company that manufactures pillows, bedding, slippers, and now robes. Love it. Lindell was born and raised in Minnesota. His most notable creation is My Pillow. He invented it in 2004, and My Pillow features a unique design providing comfort and support, which you all get to try tonight. Lindell transformed this idea into a successful, listen closely, USA manufacturing company. USA manufacturing company. Lindell is a passionate supporter of U.S. President Donald Trump and has been an advisor to him. Mike Lindell remains a prominent figure in both business and politics. I am honored, truly honored, to have him come to the stage. Michael Lindell.
I'm going to take it back a little bit since you brought it back to that. I didn't know anything about politics. I had never voted. I was an ex-crack addict. And so I didn't know a filibuster from a filibuster. I didn't know a Democrat from a Republican. I didn't know what a liberal was from a conservative. And then in the summer of 2016, on August 15th, a meeting came to fruition where Donald Trump had reached out to me to meet in Trump Tower in New York City. And I remember getting that text, and I go, what? Why does he want to meet me? I'm a businessman in Minnesota. By the way, I was the media's guardian. Mike, how many more employees you hiring? Oh, you're the American dream, going from a crack addict to this. And anyway, when I went into that meeting before that, they said, whatever you do, don't tell them you're a crack addict. And you're not going to be alone. And they're telling me all this stuff. Well, that was the way I seen it in my dream, right? And it was 10 o'clock in the morning on August 15, 2016. And I walked into his office, and it was alone. I walked in there, and he says, Mike, you always wear your cross. I see on TV. I said, yes, Mr. Trump, and this is a divine appointment. And I got really nervous when I was talking to people back then. And it was like talking to your best friend. And we started talking, and he goes, how is it you're making pillows here? How's that working out? And he says, I want to bring the manufacturing back. And I told him how great that was. And then I told him, I was an ex-crack addict. And he looked at me, and he goes, I said, I'm going to have this Lindell Recovery Network.org, which I have. Yeah, anybody in addiction, it's free. And he said, I want to stop the drugs pouring in across that southern border, and we're talking back and forth with businessmen, but he kept coming. It was like problem, solution, kept coming out of his mouth. And I'm going, yeah, that makes sense. I'm a CEO. Everything he says is making sense. I walked out of his office after about 40 minutes, and remember, I never been a president. I never voted in my life. And I go, wow, this is so cool. And I said, I couldn't believe it. He had no agenda. There was no agenda other than, I go, what do you want? Just my opinion? And I started talking to his employees. we crushed a lot of them, both the Trump Tower and the Indian Hotel. Every employee we talked to back then said he's a great boss, great leader, and interesting enough, everyone had a personal story about him, of where he had done something for them personally. And that meant a lot to me, and I went back to Minnesota and I told my board, I said, I'm going to do a press release, and, and I think there was one liberal lawyer or something that really goes, if you do that, you're going to ruin our company, you're going to lose half our business. I go, why would I lose half the business? And I didn't know. And he said, and I walked out of the office, and the gal came out, and I see she said, we didn't get this far by you not listening to God. I go, that's right. I walked back in and I said, we didn't get this far by me not listening to God, we're going to do that press release. So I did the press release, and when I did that press release, I had never seen so much hate come out of my own, by the way, almost every newspaper in the United States is over. But this was Minneapolis Star Tribune. Mike Lindell, this ex-drug dealer. I'm going, what? I've never dealt with a drug in my life. In fact, I tried to rid Minneapolis of drugs by doing it all. And I'm going, this is fake news, right? So we had to do a retraction. Can you imagine announcing a paper for a retraction saying you're not a drug dealer, you're a drug user back then? I was a crackhead, right? So, but anyway, they went all in for attack, and that was training for later on, much later, a few years later. And the Better Business Bureau, the corporate Better Business Bureau, took us from an A+ to an F. And it was disgusting. They did a national press release to bring down my pillow. That was January 2nd of 2017. They had never done something like that before. And but that was training back then. But anyway, I wanted to say this part. So my pillow, has been like a platform. But back then, when I was an addict, when I came out of addiction, I couldn't talk to two people in the same room. You see me in my commercials, and I couldn't. That's different when you're behind the camera. I would go before crowds. For me, being with two people is like being in the elevator, how cool that is, right? But now what God's given me, this platform of a voice, this is all of your voice, and our great real president, him and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and we're sitting there, and he goes, Mike, you're the Patrick Henry of our lifetime. He goes, they're going to build a statue of you so big, but he goes, I better get in or they're going to tear it down. And I see that, and I looked up and got to know this Patrick Henry, he never shut up. I know they kept attacking him, they never would shut up. But here's, I'm going to take it back now to, y'all see when I spoke at the Rose Garden right before the China virus? Okay. When I was up there, and that was all that all happened, such a divine appointment, but we were supposed to have approved remarks, and I remember I wrote something off the cuff, and I turned to the president and said, do you mind if I say something off the cuff? And in that speech, I said, God's given us grace for such a time as this. We need to spend time getting back in the Word, reading our Bible, spending time with our families. Well, people come up to me all the time, and they go, I was just in Illinois for a 3-day tour last summer, 2 days ago. Did 9 speeches in 3 days. The common thing was, Mike, this just doesn't feel like grace. And I said, oh, but it is. We are in the greatest time to be alive in history. And I'm going to tell you right now, now I'm going to give you the hope. And I'm going to give you the hope. We're going to go back to November 4th of 2020. When those, in the morning, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, when our great real president broke those algorithms and those machines, those computers, he was going to win all those states anyway, so they didn't predict enough. They didn't predict it right. So when you skim off a casino, you got to skim everywhere, okay? You have to skim everywhere. You can't just skim one machine. I used to spend a lot of time in casinos back in the day, back in my old mafia days, that you couldn't even skim the food because it was all tied together. It would stand out like a sore thumb. So one of the things is that night, I'm telling you right now, if they would have predicted right, we would have all went to bed at 3 in the morning, they would have announced Biden won, and we would have sat here and went, wow, we did it to ourselves, we took God out of our schools, just like I said in that Rose Garden speech. We took God out of our schools, a nation had turned its back on God. And we would have said, what happened to our kids? We did it ourselves. And we would have all sat there and go, we're just doomed, you know. And we had no chance for that. But by the time I get done here, you're going to see it's just the opposite. Okay, and even in Broward County, remind me at the end, I got to tell you specifically to your county. Okay, so when that on November 4th, when that happened, and by the way, anytime I'm telling you right now, if this election had been overturned back then, at any time before, at any time in that first year, we would have lost our country forever, you guys. We wouldn't have had a chance. If they'd have been smart, they'd have flipped it back to Donald Trump, let it ride it out, and boom. They still had the computers, they had all the corruption. You know how much stuff we found in the last 3 years? It's amazing, okay? And it's opening people's eyes like you wouldn't believe. Well, anyway, in November, December of 2020, I took calculus in 9th grade, and I was a professional card counter. I look at numbers every single day. If I see a radio station do 3 times as good as its base, I check into it. Something had to happen. You have something happen to get a different outcome. That's mathematics, okay? 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And the numbers always go up. Well, I looked at November and December, after we all seen the anomalies, you know, like Arizona, we could respond to call 1%. You looked at another bit like Michigan, 106,000 votes come down the middle of the night for buying 3,000 for Trump. They told us those were mail-in votes. Well, the mail-in votes in Michigan were counted on the morning of the 3rd, not in the middle of the night. Okay. But one of the things I started doing was looking at counties across our country and states. And one of the biggest surprises I had was in every county, in every state I looked at, didn't matter which one it was. Someone had voted there, a lot, like thousands in that county, or hundreds if it was a smaller county, that did live there. That's a crime. So I could not imagine 2,000 people in the next county over going, hey, what do you say? We all go into Broward County and vote for Biden. Who's with me? Come on, let's go. People are good people. That didn't happen, everybody. That did not happen, okay? So it bothered me, and then we got down to Georgia, and I was with our great real president. We were doing the rally down there on January 4th of 21, and we were up for the 2 senators, remember that? And I sat there, and I started praying, and God had hit me. I said, God, please let them steal both these senators. And they're going to don't look at me like that. But the reason I'm a marketer, and if I was them, they were caught. Their move should have been this. Give them back the Republicans so they shut up about this election. We still have some corrupt senators. We still have the voting machine. And you know what? If they would have done that, maybe not you guys, but most people would have said, oh, forget the election. We still have the Senate. We'll get them back in 2022. But you lost back and forth, as we lose the ground each time, right? That's what would have happened. But when they took them both, what did y'all do? Now what do we do? Millions of people got on board, and millions of people went, hey, maybe there was something wrong with the election. Maybe there is something wrong with our election platforms. But they were greedy, and thank God they're greedy. Evil is greedy. That's what we're up against. We're in a spiritual battle of epic proportions, you guys. And evil is so greedy, and they had the safety net set up on January 6th. So the old setup of January 6th comes along, and now here's 2 days that are so important in history. Is that January 7th and 8th of 2021. The day after January 6th, 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed, including our great real president, on Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube, Suckerbucks, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, okay? Churches were deplatformed. Anyone that spoke out about the election or Donald Trump, no matter how far back, was deplatformed. The rest of the country was in such fear, they wouldn't even talk about anything. They stayed in the house. I'm not going out, I think I'm part of this. And on that day, by the way, on January 7th, John Radcliffe, the head of the DNI, whatever it is, he came out with a report that said our nation had been attacked by China in our election. He said, and this came up, but it was grounded in the news. It was grounded in the news that day, on January 6th. Well, on January 9th, I I was handed evidence that was machine evidence that explained all of these counties and all of these states that had been done with computers. And if you guys know what I had then, and I would expect any one of you, if you could see what I've seen and know what I knew then, you would never give up too. But it was so explosive, but I had to get to our real president to sign it because it was under a government gag order. And you all know the story. I went into the White House trying to get him to sign it, and the lawyers shooed me out of there, and there was papers that I had from lawyers too. There were suggestions. So I ended up outside the back of the White House, and I never even read the papers. And here I am, 9 days after January 6th, the Washington Post takes a picture from a quarter-mile away, martial law. No. Well, had that picture not been taken, we might not be talking, because I looked up and went on the phone with my son, and over the hill, it looked like a herd of buffalo coming at me. They were all reporters with their cameras running down the hill. And they all get to the right edge of the White House, and they go, "Brrr!" They stop like sheep. And I'm going, "Darren, I gotta go," and I hung out my phone. Would you all like me to answer questions? And they're all going, "No." And I said, when I changed my mind, y'all find something real nice to write about me. I walked back to the White House, right? Then I'll change that part of the story, but I get out of there, shoot out of there, and I'm heading back into Virginia, and I had no idea that picture was taken. And I got a call from Ben Carson, and a friend of, we were really good friends, and he knew we had to get this to the president too. Well, he said, "Did you get it signed?" And I said, "No." And I was devastated. It's like having you have the key to the country. And I was like, I thought this came right from God. This is, it's over, this is a miracle. And Ben said that to me on the phone. He said, "Mike," he said, "but God doesn't work like that. He doesn't go by dates, November 3rd or December 14th or January 6th. He goes, maybe things have to happen over time on his timing, and more things have to be revealed before we can get to this great place." And it gave me such a peace, and I headed into Virginia, but I went, how will this ever happen? Because there's no way, when the media wants to silent me, they just don't attack me. They go silent, right? And I get over to Virginia, and we're sitting there ready to get to eat, and my daughter sends me that picture. You've all seen it a million times, where I'm standing by the White House with martial law. I look like a spy from, something in a movie. And she goes, "Get out of there, what are you doing?" And I knew right then, the odds of that picture being taken, if I told her that it would be trillions of one. So I knew it was divine. And I started calling, I called the real news and a couple of good newspapers. And in the meantime, every bad journalist has my direct number. They're calling in. I remember being on the phone with one of the Washington papers, and Jim Acosta called, beeps in. I go, "Just a second, I'm beeping again." Jim goes, "Mike, martial law, you're outside the White House." And I go, "Jim, I'm on the phone with the real reporter. You're going to have to wait." Yeah, I'll wait. And but that was the start of massive attacks. But they deplatformed my pillow, the box stores, everything. That's when it started. Well, I didn't care. I used the attacks to get the word out, one after another. Another significant date that happened on February 4th of 21 was Smartmatic sued Fox News. Not doing it was Smartmatic. They sued Fox News, and that was the start of lawfare that had not been done in this country since 1792. You can imagine what they did back then with lawfare, You did this way or whatever. And when they did that silenced all of our, that's got to happen. No, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I had a lot of voice. You guys hear you want me to start over? Okay. But that started lawfare for the first time since 1792. Now, what that did, everybody, from that day on, it silenced 3 news outlets: Fox News, Newsmax, and Salem Media. They have never talked about election platforms or machines since that day. So if you're watching Fox News, you're not going to hear about the hope. I'm going to tell you what's really going on today. Like my Supreme Court case, it comes up in 4 days, by the way. So that silenced them, so all you had left was the attack media, okay? Which I used very well, I think. But then when we came out with the movie February 5th of 2021, the media went completely silent on me for 17 days. And I went into a panic because I had this Alan said, well, it's never going to be out there. Well, God, what can I do, God? I'm praying. I'm going, I need to get this out there. And I had already, got, I'll keep your hand through Twitter and all this stuff. My Pillow's Twitter, I did that on purpose, to get it in the news. Well, what I had to do, I kept saying, sue me, Dominion, sue me, Dominion. You all remember that? I mean, I asked them to sue me, but they didn't sue me. So I had to call the swim at the Daily Beast, a horrible publication. He's probably the best of the worst journalists. At least he did some changes for me once after he attacked me. But I called him Swin, I go, Swin. I go, why don't you go over to the, Dominion and tell them to sue me? They've already sued over 200 citizens, and they've, and companies, and for millions of dollars. And he goes, yeah, I'll go tell them. So he goes over to Dominion. Gets over there and goes, hey, how are we going to sue Mike Lindell? They go, oh, we're going to sue Mike Lindell. So, anyway, he calls me up, he says, yeah, they're going to sue me. We'll do an article about it. So he does. For example, Dominion's going to sue Mike Lindell. 3 days go by and they haven't sued me yet. So I call up Swin and go, Swin, you better get over there and tell Dominion, chop, or you're going to be known as fake news. So he goes over there and finally they come out and they sue me. Well, I thought then it'd be easy, you just put the evidence out there. Here it is. But that wasn't the case. Once again, it just sits there, millions and millions of lawyer fees and discovery and all this garbage. When you've got, why do we have to go through this? Here it is. Is this a microphone? Yes. It's that simple, right? And so I went on with Jimmy Kimmel in the spring of 21, and not the claw machine one. I had a chance to check that out. But the spring of 21, I go on the claw machine. I went on Jimmy Kimmel, and he asked me. He goes, Mike. He goes, if your friend Donald Trump had been selected, and would you still be sounding the alarm? And I said, absolutely I would. The Washington Post up came to Minnesota and tried to get to anyone to say, no, I won. But I would, that's who I am. And Jimmy, and I went on there because it wasn't about Donald Trump, it was about our elections. What I had already found was our systems were so corrupt. I'm going, and so now I'm going to tell you from that point on, we started, going to, to get rid, it was a mission for me to get rid of the electronic voting machine. I think that's what it's been since then. And we had, all of a sudden, we go to these states and go to these counties, and we were always blocked. The first one I went to was John Merrill, Secretary of State of Alabama. You think of this, I walk in, he's a Republican, and I go, John, I bought every voter roll in the United States, so Alabama's, I paid $40,000 for them. I go, John, look at your voter rolls here. This came right out of the election in 2020. You have 4,662 people here in Alabama that voted that are over 110 years old. And he looked at me and he goes, well, Mike, well, they're pretty good here in Alabama. I thought he was kidding. I thought he was going to look into it. I thought he was making a joke. No, all he did was push back and stop all our efforts in Alabama. I'll give you another example. Cleveland County, Arkansas. We go there. We get there, and our team, by the way, we have over 300,000 people on the ground right now that when I do a call every Monday night, all their leaders. So we've been working hard and building up, along with precinct strategy with the precinct people. It's been amazing. Well, we went to Cleveland County, Arkansas, and they voted. Most counties can vote the machines out and just go to paper, you guys. So Cleveland County votes to go out. All the counties in Arkansas are going to follow suit. I've never seen it going around. And this guy named Kim Hammers, he's a Republican. He's the other party you call them rhinos. These are worse than rhinos. They're the worst in the world. They're Brad Rassenberg, they're Robin Buses, and now this Kim Hammer. This Kim Hammers sticks a bill through, and here's what the bill says. Y'all ready for this? If you're a county in Arkansas and you go to paper ballots, we are defunding your county.
Nice color.
That's mafia. That's racketeering. Nobody move. You're not doing that. You get those machines right back in here, and they did, believe me. The governor let that go through, by the way. Anyway, then we went around to all the attorney generals. By the way, we have a lot of good attorney generals, and there's no good. Well, there might be one good secretary of state. I haven't done that. I heard that Wyoming. They're all corrupt. Every single secretary of state in this country. And but I met with the attorney generals, and we were just ready to go to the Supreme Court, and we had the case ready to go there. And what does Biden do? I mean, they're pretty good marketers sometimes up there. They put Biden in front of the podium and said, if you have 100 people in your company, you got to take a shot. Well, what do you think those attorney generals did we had on board? They all had to go focus on this. It was, and it was right after Afghanistan too, so the whole country forgot about that too. They all, we're not taking that shot. And it was the deflection. They're very good at deflecting.
Yeah.
So anyway, we had all these uniparty blockers, kept blocking and blocking. Now we get to the summer of 22, and I got it pen. In the summer of 22, I was going to do a thing up in Bedminster with our great world president, and it was going to be a fundraiser for all my people, the cyber guys, the attorneys, and everybody there. And I changed my mind at the last minute. They've been working so hard for free, just patriots. And I told the president, I said, I want to make it a fundraiser. I said, we're just going to, come in and he talked for over 2 hours. It was amazing. And these guys fighting. And well, the day after that, they brought me downstairs. So that was the end of June of 2022. And my cyber guys the next day told me something about it. They called this a Castle Records. Y'all know what a Castle record is, let me tell you. If you miss a football game and you go to look at the replay, it's the order that the game happened. Like first quarter 7-7, then you see here 14-14. You don't get to the third quarter, it's 14-3. That's not how it goes, right? And you wouldn't look at all the games, they wouldn't all be the same score. Well, a Castle record that comes right on the sheet under the Freedom of Information Act. Under the Freedom of Information Act, we have the right to those Castle records. That's the one thing you can get from the machine. Well, I heard about it, and they said, well, what does this prove? They go, you either have computer manipulation or no computer manipulation. There's no in between. It's like a traitor and a hero. There's no in between. You're not a half traitor, you're not a half hero. You're now we're living in a time. It's one or the other. So I go, well, what's the meeting is Castle record? They said, Mike, the government, they only hold it for 22 months. So we had till September 3rd of 2020 to get these Castle records. I did a shout out on my show. On Lindell TV, great speech, you should be watching that instead of Fox News. We have Lindell, Taylor Biden, Binhvo, Steve Bannon, this way you should all be watching.
We do.
And I did this shout out. We ended up getting 1,100 of the 3,143 counties. And what I'm going to tell you next is very important. Of those 1,100, it took a couple months to check them all. Every single one was computer manipulated. Every one. Now, the other states that didn't give it to us, like South Dakota, horrible, or my home state of Minnesota said, if we knew what a Castle record, they did a bill. If they knew what it was, they weren't going to use it. We do not know it. I mean, that's in our bill. We can't make it up. So we get these Castle records, and we couldn't find one. I already knew that because every county had been manipulated, okay? But now I'm going to fast forward on this to 2022 election. In the 2022 election, I'm sitting, and this is where, by the way, I'm sitting there on my show in early January of 23. Election just happened. You all know DeSantis had his great thing down here, and he won Miami-Dade County and all that, right? And I'm sitting in my show, and I go, wait a minute, that's a deviation. Guy wins Miami-Dade County by 11%. That's the deviation. So I checked into it. I go, let's go get the Castle records from Miami-Dade County. Well, this time they wouldn't give it to us. But then I get another call out, and citizens just flooded them with FOIA requests, and they finally relinquished the Castle records. Now, we got all the other Castle records from Florida in the 2022 election. Well, here's what happened. And this is going to give you guys a lot of hope. Of all the 2022 Castle records we got about a fourth of the United States. We finally found a place where there was no computer manipulation. And I was right here. Now, that's not good news. They did that, and mind you, say, well, why is that? Well, they did it on purpose to make Trump look bad. Okay? It made DeSantis look. If you're a good Republican, you can win anything, right? And here's what we did, though. Here's the good news. So we finally had an election, at least in spots down here, where there was no computers used. There was regular cheating going on. Of course, regular cheating, here goes the video election. But what it showed was, here's what would happen without machines. If we could go to paper ballots, hand counted. So we extrapolated those
Is he
numbers
down there?
across the United
He out there?
States. This took a couple months.
Is he over there? No,
But
I
I'm
didn't see
here
him.
to tell you that this country is not 50-50. It's not 60-40. We're 68% red. 68%.
Yeah, baby.
Broward County is either 50-50 or on the red side. I truly believe it. So what we're doing now, so that's the hope right there, right? We didn't go to bed, we wake up. Think if we would have woke up way back in November of 2020 and just started our country's doomed. There's the hope, everybody. Now, right now, what we're doing, we have teams across this country going county by county ahead. County by county to get it, because like I said, most counties you can go up. We have 280 counties already committed to go to paper ballots and counting in the 2024 election.
Woo! Very good. County by county.
At the end of March and early April, we're all going to go forward at the same time because they always attack our individual successes. And but we had in New Hampshire and in South Dakota, we had a very unique situation. So in New Hampshire, you can get 25 people on a petition, and you can go to an immediate ballot to get rid of the machines within 2 months. Well, they have 100 and some towns now already in New Hampshire that don't have machines now. Okay? In South Dakota, we learned this was by the county. We learned this 3-4 weeks ago. And in South Dakota, if you get 5% of the county vote, you can take it it goes right to a vote within 60 days to go to paper ballots. Well, we did that. We met in Pierre, South Dakota. I was at CPAC. My team was out there in Pierre, and we had 2/3 of the county's representatives in South Dakota, all their chairmen and everybody there. And everybody was showing how to hand count. By the way, my team developed the best hand count system in the world. Better than France, Belgium, better than UK, better than the Netherlands. This system is the best, and we used it last year in Osage County, Missouri. The Democrats and Republicans working together. They got done at the same time the machines with 100% accuracy, everybody. Now South Dakota last week, or we were in Pierre, South Dakota, they're all there. 2 days after that, the Republicans of South Dakota that call themselves Republicans, that's not you guys, these are these uniparty blockers. These are the ones we want out. You know, don't just say Democrat. These Republicans got to be replaced that aren't Republicans. We're going to come around and this guy in South Dakota, they ran the bill through, they tried. And that bill was going to say no county in South Dakota can do exactly what their Constitution says, except for in January, which would have been passed what? The 2024 election. So I went to this last Friday. It went before their Senate and passed it through, and was won in the afternoon by 1 vote. 1 vote. So South Dakota, as we speak, they're ready for South Dakota to be the first machine to the state, I believe. Now, I'm going to fast forward. This, as we go to these counties now, we have so much more than we had before. Okay, so much more. We have these devices that show the machines run line. We have these examples for Argentina. One judge ruled this summer to go to paper ballots, hand counted, got rid of the machines in 4 months. Argentina was just with their president a couple weeks ago. They won in 3 Ecuador had an election, got rid of the machines, saved their country. These were all the countries that did. These are great votes. We just sat down in Georgia. The case would have waited 4 years for this curling case to get done. 4 years, and finally this judge pushed it through in October and said, you know what, and Crooked Brad Rassenberger was the biggest blocker this country and traitor this country's ever seen, the Secretary of State of Georgia. You're a Democrat out there, you're not winning, I'll tell you that. Crooked Brad's going to win. He's worse than any Democrat in the history of the world. I'll say that. But anyway, this case was against Democrats against Crooked Brad. Well, finally, this judge ruled in October the case can move forward, and she said because the experts say there's problems with these machines, and she said if you question machines, you're now a conspiracy theorist. So on TV, I got to take off my tinfoil hat, and And then that case went to court on January 9th of this year. And you might not have heard this if you're watching Fox News. Quit watching Fox News, I'm telling you. This guy, this alderman, hacked into the machine with a ballpoint pen and flipped the election in front of the judge in 3 minutes, everybody. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you that all these things we found, when we go back to these counties now, that it's going to be easy because they want to get rid of them. We answer every question of why they should get rid of them. And I'll tell you right now, I've waited 4 years. For 3 years, you all see the Supreme Court. Mike Lindell got his evidence. He's going to the Supreme Court, blah, 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 another nothing burger, right? Well, if we would have brought it back then, you're right, it could have been nothing. They would have probably buried it. They weren't ready to look at anything. Well, I'm telling you, this Thursday, this is the biggest case in the history that will go before that Supreme Court with our election platforms. Our government needs our elections, critical infrastructure. They just had the 9-0 vote for our great real president for Colorado, which I'm going to follow the Democrats can do that. This case goes before them on Thursday. We were going to do it Friday. I was going to go back to D.C. for the first time since January 7th. All the lawyers were going, Mike, they'll shoot you. You're not going back. But I want to go back there, you know. They kicked it out on standing. How do these two that are running for office stand up standing? And then it went to the higher court. It went to the higher court in Arizona, and the Supreme Court of Arizona, and the Ninth Circuit, and they upheld it. And they sanctioned the lawyers. We even had a Democrat, Alan Dershowitz, was there because he wanted, to make it look good to get rid of the machines, right? Well, they sanctioned it. Well, by them sanctioning it, now that gives us an open door that no man gets shot to go to the Supreme Court, and we can add any evidence to that. We just got evidence we've been waiting on for 2 years, everybody. No one's even heard of this evidence ever. No one has seen it, and it's 10 times easier to see it than the cyber evidence that I have. If the Supreme Court accepts this, and I truly believe it'll be 9-0 to get these machines gone. I mean, it is so, they have to protect the biggest thing is we're all going to be able to see the evidence. Now, what do we need there? We need media there, we need people to spread the word. You all need to go to lindellplan.com and check it out. You need to check out and be aware of what's going on. We have great things going on in every single state, lawsuits, everything else going on, where we should protect our election. And I'm telling you, when I was talking to our real president the other day, again, we were talking, and he said, he goes, Mike, he said, he always asks me about the attacks and so on, all these attacks, and I said, sir, every time you get indicted and attacked, I said, your polls go up. Pretty soon you're going to have more votes than voters like Pennsylvania. But I said, there's a bucket. I said, there's 2 buckets going on now. All the bad things I told him, you go back to December of 2019 when we were physically as a country, everybody's lives had improved. Highest consumer confidence in history, the lowest unemployment, everything had improved. No matter where you start, if you were in the gutter or out with 4 forks, it didn't matter. Your lives had, or your base was had improved. And then they handed us the China virus, okay? So then from the China virus on, right now, all the bad things going on, do you know how many people are pouring into this bucket of common sense, which is Donald Trump? They're pouring in from both sides, Democrats, Republicans, pouring into this bucket. If you can't get people out there now to run and to vote, and this is any time in history, you're in the wrong business. If you can't get people now with all the destruction, this stuff is doing more damage, or actually helping getting more and more people on board to a new Republican Party, the party of Donald Trump, the Common Sense Party. Okay? Last thing I want to say, here's the grace that God's given us. Okay? The grace that God's given us, if they would have overturned this any time back then, I'm telling you, we have we just got 3 months ago. That in 3 years, God has revealed all the evil. I mean, I can sit up here and I can talk for 7 hours about the evil. I feel like living inside of a movie, horrific movie. You trust this person, all of a sudden he's got the face of a viper. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. I've had to live, maybe my past, if you read my book with all the guns in my head, dealing with the mafia, collecting football beds, getting cut off from it, maybe all these things I've had to learn, to recognize this and live within that. And what surprises me is how vast and wide and horizontal it goes. It's this isn't an attack their country, I believe, is the CCP, the Uniparty, the deep state, and the globalists. I mean, this is it. We get one shot at this. But during this time, there's another bucket going on. And that's the bucket of the Jesus Christ. Amen. And in that bucket, people back in December of 2019, when their physical lives have improved, they were going, oh, thank you, God. Everyone's going, we've got complacent. Look what our great president did, and we manifested to this. Those are physical things here. All the stuff that's going on now, the fentanyl pouring across the border, kids dying, all these other things, that's just destroying us. Transvestite stuff going on in Italia's women in our schools. It's craziness. Yep. All this stuff is bringing people more and more because people are losing hope. Yeah. People don't turn to God when things are going good. They look to God when things are going hopeless. Yes. And they're pouring into this bucket from everywhere, and we're in the biggest revival for Jesus Christ in history. I know that, where we're going, God has given us this grace because, even if we're wrong during this time, think of the people that are getting saved. If you can't be a pastor or ministry to someone now, go out there to someone that's hurting, lonely, and hopeless. If you can't minister now, you're in the wrong business. So I'm going to leave you with this. You guys, and by the way, when I say I don't want you feeling hopeless, like, oh, why don't we vote with Strong Machine? I really believe by God's grace, and I told this to our real president, I said, we're going to get enough of these machines. We're going to get our election platform. We're not just working on that. We're working on everything. The voter rolls, everything. Once again, we need help. LindellPlan.com. Check that out. But I said, we're going to get enough here that's straightened out, or right, as much as it could be. And then over here, we're going to override those algorithms, our great real president. He said in Iowa, and there's two things that happened. The RNC, they voted, when I ran, they voted this summer. I want to tell you this. The RNC in August voted, it's a resolution, and they voted 168-0 for paper ballots, hand counted, safety voting, precinct level, signature required, and voter ID. That's the RNC. So if you've got anybody in the GOP that tells you they're in the wrong team. And so we are going to win this, and with everybody doing their part. Courage is contagious, and if you're saving your courage for a rainy day, it's pouring outside. So I better get going. I'll be in here a little bit. I got to go on a national radio show, but and I went too long to fly when I was supposed to be. But there's a lot more I could tell you, but you guys just get over to my station. We just added the jobs. You can watch this. Go to frankspeech.com. Lindell TV. Every day we pour out the whole. You need to spread this across everything. And that, remember, when they tried to take our voice away on January 7th and 8th, that's the day we started winning because they didn't kill it. They kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You guys are that voice now. We're all that voice. And this is it. You get one shot. But we are winning. Think if we were here and we didn't have all the stuff from the 2020 election that happened, we would never know. We'd always sit here going, woe is us, it's that we're doing. Instead, we know where we're going. It's going to be glorious. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike Lindell. Another round of applause for Mike Lindell.
Thank you.
Now I have to follow that one. Okay, so if all pay attention one more time, please. Time
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Thank you. Yeah.
And for those who are mentioned, just stand and get away from the crowd so they know you.